This is Alan Ball.
Hi, this is Audrey Fisher.
This is Jim Perry.
Hi, this is Kristen Bauer.
Hi, this is Alexander Skarsgård.
This is Nelson Ellis.
Hi, this is Johnny Neal.
This is Rayo Tucker. Hi, this is Lindsay Fulton.
Hi, this is Ryan Quantum from True Blood. Hello, this is Theo Alexander.
Hey, this is Lauren Bowles.
Hi, this is David Tishman.
This is Chase Everett.
Hello, this is Janina Gavankar.
This is James Frame.
Hi, this is Courtney Ford, and you're listening to True Blood Radio.
Hi, Liz and Mel with True-Blood.net here with this week's episode discussion of Fire in the Hole. We'll be sharing our thoughts, ideas, and general musings of the episode, and later we'll have some spoilers for the next episode. This is podcast number 224 for the week of July 6th, 2014.
I just want to make a quick content update, I guess. I have a couple of quick housekeeping things, I suppose, to tell you about. A couple of you have asked about the fashion column, the fashion Q&A. That will be coming back. I'm sorry, I'm a little behind on that. I've had some craziness happening in real life, so that didn't get posted when I had planned to have it posted. I will most likely have the first one up this week. If you have any specific questions about wardrobe items that you're looking for, obviously you can just let us know at webmaster@true-blood.net, or you can comment on the wardrobe column itself and ask, and we will get in touch with Audrey Fisher and find the answer if we can. And several of you have also asked us if the podcast is only available through our website. At the moment, yes, or on iTunes. You guys, I'm really tired. Right after the episode aired this week, I got a call that my 10-year-old nephew was going to the ER because he got shot in the eye with a Roman candle. So it's been a stressful, crazy, sleepless couple of days. He's fine. He's back home. All of his siblings are fine. I kept him alive. So and questionably, I did keep my sanity as well. He's number 4 of 10. So there were a lot of siblings to keep alive there.
Yeah.
But it's all good. But I'm tired and might get a little loopy, might get a little emotional about stuff. So that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. But anyway, regarding the podcast, I'm still trying to figure out why it's not showing up on iTunes. They made some change, and I'm trying to figure out how to get around it, or how to accommodate it, whatever they want us to do to get the podcast back on iTunes. Until then, you can always find it under the podcast tab on True-Blood.net, and we're also uploading it to YouTube now, so that you can find it there easily, and you can leave comments and all that. And I can see by the analytics, I can see that a lot of you are finding us there. So I'm glad that you are tracking us down over there as well.
Yeah.
So, and also Comic-Con is coming up in a couple of weeks, and we will be there. Liz and I will be there again, as well as Lisa, who is our Throwback Thursday contributor and who posts some other things on the site. She'll be there with us, and we'll be covering all the True Blood's happenings, which we will probably have an official announcement about what True Blood's going to do there later this week. So watch the site for that as well.
Yeah.
So, all right. I think that covers all of it to this point, I hope.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Fortunately, Liz made notes for me, so.
Is he? Now that's scary.
Yeah. I can just decipher them. No.
All right. Well, we're going to get on with our discussion of Fire in the Hole. And, of course, let's just address the elephant in the room right now. Alcide!
Alcide. Now, we knew he was going to leave. We were pretty sure it was this episode would be his final episode. We talked about that on the podcast, and we talked about that in our post about the Weeks Ahead promo that they showed right after the season premiere. We speculated that episode 3 was probably his last, maybe 4, but we were figuring it was 3. So we did not, however, think that he was going to be killed.
Yeah, that was a complete shock. I mean, they kept that one so secret. And, I could see why now with everything that's gone on so far in the last 3 episodes. I could see why they've pretty much kept they're playing things pretty close to the chest and haven't really let go of any information on anything. Even the cast has been a really hush-hush, way more than we've ever seen in any of the previous seasons. But, because, I mean, totally.
Yeah, they're playing
he's
it.
Gone.
Yeah, that was, wow. I actually had to go back and watch that scene again because I was like, did that just happen? What? Now what?
Yeah.
And then, you know, but yeah, and he's gone. It was just, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
I really thought it was going to be like a Hoyt thing. You know, it was going to be he and Sookie break up and he leaves. I figured it would be something along those lines. I really didn't think that they would kill him.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was an amazing scene though.
Yeah.
Just all of a sudden, everybody like converged in one place all at once. It was everyone was there except Eric and Pam, right?
Right. Yeah. Pretty much. I mean,
Boom.
except, you know, I mean, Holly was there. Arlene wasn't there. Of course, she's still
in the dungeon.
She's still chained up. But, I mean, that was just, it was pretty shocking. And, I mean, the fans are still talking about it.
Yeah.
So, Joe Manganiello, it's funny because HBO did an interview with him and he pretty much called it. He predicted that Alcide was going to die pretty early on. And
he said as soon as he read that Alcide and Sookie got together at the end of season 6,
yeah,
he turned to his friends and said, I'm dead.
Yeah.
That's...
Yeah.
And then when Brian Buckner had a meeting, you know, took him to lunch, I think, to tell him what was coming up, and he said, you know, Alcide's gonna die. And he's like, yeah, I figured.
Yeah, not surprised. And he was totally okay with it. You know, I mean, Buckner explained the flow of the story and everything, and even Joe said, you know, my story's pretty much done. I was just kind of, you know, arm candy for Sookie. He didn't say it that way, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
No, not bad, but he really didn't have anything to do with the story anymore.
Right, because they resolved he's not the Packmaster anymore. He basically renounced the Pack. And yeah, he died protecting Sookie. That, I mean, obviously his character was not one-dimensional, but I think that's what it boils down to, was that Alcide was there to protect Sookie. And to be... Now, were we talking about this? That they're gradually stripping away all of her support?
We talked about it a while ago.
Okay. I was talking the last couple of days are a blur. I was talking to somebody about this episode, and we were talking about how that Sookie's support is being taken from her one by one. She lost Tara, her best friend.
Yeah.
Again. She now her boyfriend is gone. You know, who's next? Yeah. They're taking away her support one by one, which again goes back to the books, where there at the, you know, in that last book, she was alone. Yeah. She had no one that she thought she had no one to lean on, no one to help her.
Right.
It was all on her, and she had to make some tough life decisions. You know, what do I want from life? What am I going to do about it? Do I need to, you know, do I become a vampire? Do I move away from Bon Tom? What do I do? So that's where we're headed here. And we've had a lot of people are upset, understandably, that Alcide is gone, and it was so fast. And we understand, you know, that you're grieving for this character. We get that. But we've also had a lot of really disrespectful and insulting comments about the writers and the choices that they're making this season. A lot of you have said, you know, I'm done, I'm out, you know, to which we say, okay, we'll see you next week. But we know you won't be, we know you can't stay away.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, you guys. Yeah, it happened fast. Yeah, Tara's death was off screen, and some of you are still pretty mad about that. And a lot of people, I've seen several comments from people who are offended that Alcide got an on-screen death and Tara did not. Not quite following the logic there, but okay. I validate your anger. I don't agree with it, but
Yeah.
here's the thing, you guys. It's been 36 hours in Bon Tom since the season started. 36 hours. What we, the viewers, are feeling, our anger and our shock and our disbelief about what's happened, is supposed to be the way that we feel.
Right.
Because it reflects how the characters are feeling. Imagine if this were a real story and if these characters were not fictional. If this was actually happening. And in 36 hours, you're Sookie. You lost your best friend. You saw just a puddle of goo. You didn't actually get to see her die. I don't know if get to see her die is the right way to phrase that. It's not like something I would choose to see. But you didn't see her die. She's just gone. And then less than, 36 hours, like 24 hours later, your boyfriend gets shot right in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
From the bushes. I mean, you don't even see who shot him.
Right.
He's just gone.
Mm-hmm.
So think about how you as Sookie would feel about that. And then think about how you as the viewer feel about that. Pretty close, right?
Yeah.
That's the point.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they're doing it this way. They're not sitting there, throwing darts at pictures to decide who's going to die. It's not some big conspiracy to piss off the fans. This is all in service of the story. And we've talked about this time and time again. This is Sookie's story.
Mm-hmm.
This is not Tara's story. This is not Alcide's story. Ultimately, this is Sookie's story. How does all of this affect her? How does she affect everybody else? How is she the catalyst for what's happening? Which is another theme that we're dealing with this season.
Right.
So just keep that in mind, that you're feeling upset and rattled and shocked and you're angry and you're sad. The writers are doing their job.
That's the brilliance of their writing.
You are
They
supposed to
actually
feel that
pulled
way.
you so far into the story. I mean, that's great writing.
Mm-hmm. And you want answers.
Right.
Bingo.
They know that.
Mm-hmm. That is how you're supposed to feel. You're supposed to be angry. You're supposed to want answers. Mm-hmm. But let's also remember that this is a 10-episode season. This is not a movie. It's not going to be wrapped up in 2 hours.
Right.
It's not going to be wrapped up in 90 minutes. This is a 10-hour journey that we're taking. So
yeah,
we're not going to have all the answers right away. We still don't know how Eric survived, being burned up. They haven't told us that yet, and some of you have brought that up. No, but they're giving us little bits. Every episode, we're getting little pieces of the story, and that's called a narrative arc. That's how it works. You get a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, and that keeps the momentum moving forward. That keeps the story going until we get to the ultimate destination. So just keep that in mind.
And that's how it's always been.
Yeah.
It's always been this way with this show. I mean, if you follow the show from the very first season, it's always been this way. Mm-hmm. And it's always been equally as frustrating for the fans. Mm-hmm. I mean, some of you guys are telling us the same things you've been telling us for 6 years.
Yep. And we're telling you the same thing that we've been saying for 6 years. You are supposed to feel that way.
Yeah.
You are not going to get answers right away. Mm-hmm. So just, sit back and try to enjoy the ride. This is going to be a tough season. We know it is.
Yeah.
They're at war. Sookie asked Bill, are we at war? And he said, yeah, we are. We're at war. People will It's not going to make sense sometimes. We're not going to get closure on everybody, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But in real life, that's also the case.
Right.
When you're at war, things happen.
And I don't know where the rumor started that everybody is, by the end of the season, everybody's going to be dead.
I think that was more at the rate they're killing people off. Mm-hmm. How are they going to make it 10 episodes? Because everybody's going to be dead by the end of the season. I think it was more of a sarcastic, facetious.
Oh, okay.
So,
but you know what?
They're not going to kill everybody off.
Yeah. Look at the characters, the 2 characters, the 3 characters that have died so far. Tara, her story was done.
Mm-hmm.
It was finished. And really, I know that some of you are still angry about the off-screen death. We saw Tara die already last season, the season before.
Yeah.
We saw her die. We saw her die. We saw her head blown off. We saw Sookie holding her in her arms as she bled out.
Mm-hmm.
We saw that. We grieved then. Why would they repeat that?
Yeah. And Sookie, Lafayette even said that.
Yeah.
When he was still in shock, he said, I don't know, I don't really feel anything because I've already grieved for her.
Right.
He was our viewer, you know, he was our proxy as a viewer.
Right.
As we're
Perfectly.
sitting there going, what?
Yeah.
We
You know,
already saw her die.
and really, Tara was a vampire. On this show, vampire deaths, they're quick. They're done.
Mm-hmm.
1 minute you're there, next minute you're a pile of goop on the floor.
Yeah.
And sometimes in mid-sentence, I'm thinking of Franklin Mott.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's standing there with that smirk on his face, and Jason pulled the trigger. Boom, he's gone.
Yep.
That's how it happens on this show. Is that, I mean, I don't think I would have wanted to see that.
No.
I don't like to see half the deaths that happen on the show. But
Yeah. I could have done without those images.
yeah.
Yeah, and there are people who are saying Alcide deserved a better death. I'm sorry. What would you consider a better death? You wanted it to be prolonged and in pain? Did you want him to turn into, you know, vampires holding him down and feeding off of him until he dies, the infected vampires? Mm-hmm. I don't really understand what better or epic would have been for him. He died protecting Sookie.
Yeah.
That was
he
his
was a
mission.
hero. He was her hero.
Yeah. Yeah, the shots came from the vigilantes hiding in the bushes, but he still died protecting Sookie. Mm-hmm. And he died because he was different.
Right.
You know, they said that we were told that the vigilantes are out shooting, you know, they're out to kill anybody different from them. Mm-hmm. Another powerful metaphor for the entire show premise. But yeah, they saw him change from wolf to man. The vigilantes saw him when he got to the clearing. They saw him shift. Therefore, he was a target.
Right.
They already tried to kill Sam. You know, they would have tried to kill Sookie because they know that she's different. Mm-hmm. It's war. It's war. He's a casualty of war. In my opinion, yeah, he died a hero. Yeah. He was protecting Sookie. The bullet came from from the enemy. They're fighting on two fronts at this point, but I just don't really understand what people are asking for when they say a better death. You'll have to describe it to us. And a few people have tried, and I still don't understand how that would be better than what happened. Yeah. Dead is dead. He died protecting Sookie. He died being true to himself. So
yeah. I'm sure. And you know what? I'm sure in upcoming episodes they are going to deal with all of this.
They will.
You know, I mean, when the war is over, they're going to deal with this. They're going to celebrate life, but they're also going to grieve the dead, and they're going to mourn the dead. That's the time for that. Right now, they got to keep their wits about them because they're dying.
Still under attack. Yeah.
Right.
They still have the infected vampires coming after them, plus now the vigilantes coming after them. Mm-hmm. So we've got, and see, this is what's bringing our little band together again. It's not just the humans who are under attack. It's not just Sookie who's under attack now. Now it's Sookie who's different. It's Sam who's different. It's going to be Holly who's different, but she's current. You know, the infected vampires have had her. Arlene is still being held. Nicole and the baby. How long is it going to take for the vigilantes to put that together? Mm-hmm. What must that baby be? If his dad's a shifter, if that baby's dad's a shifter, what must that baby be? You know, we've got Jason and Violet and Jessica in the mix as well, and Andy, who now they know that Adeline is different. So Andy's got to protect his daughter now. So we've got our core characters are all being pulled in together. And now Eric and Pam are on the way back to join the milieu and and their storyline is going to be, they're going to be off on a slightly different tangent for a little while, because brilliant Pam had finally figured out which button to push and to get him up off of that thing.
Right.
And I know some of you guys really got a kick out of that. I'm not going to do it again, but you know, she got him motivated, because, you know, Sarah Newlin, yeah, he's out for revenge now, and so is the Yakanomo Corporation.
Yeah,
they're out to track her down and get revenge as well. So
yeah, somebody asked
namaste,
why
Sarah Newlin.
Yeah, somebody asked why they're after Sarah Newlin, and the only thing I could come up with is because of what she did. She's cost them some big bucks.
Right, and depending on, we've speculated about the real identity of the woman that she killed from the Yakanomo Corporation. You know, remember the stiletto through the head?
Yeah.
We have speculated, and we might talk about this a little bit more in the spoiler section, that she's connected to someone that we're going to meet very soon, who is, who's going to be out for revenge. Yeah. So
yeah.
So I think it goes back to, well, she infected the True Blood, right?
Right.
She was behind getting the Hep B into the bottles of True Blood. So I don't know, if you're a vampire, that might be enough to go after her. And then she killed the Yakanomo representative. So I don't know, if you're from Yakanomo, that might be enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
She better watch her little tight tushy.
Yeah. Changing her hair color is not going to protect her.
No. That was fun though.
Yeah.
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 That was an awesome opening scene, as everybody's, because we were in the live chat and on Twitter, and people were like, "What? What is this? What is going on?" And then I'm like, "It's Sarah Newlin!
Wait for it!
Here it comes!" And then sure enough, namaste.
Oh yeah, that was a great way to bring her back onto the show.
Yeah, and we found out that she is now calling herself Noomi, which HBO is spelling Noomi, but various other recappers are spelling, you know, however you want. I think it's awesome because it's kind of a take on Newlin, but then it's also new me. You know, it's the new me. So I thought that was clever. But
yeah,
we'll see what happens with Sarah Newlin. We've got a little more info to share in the spoiler section about her, but
yeah,
she's back, and she's in big trouble.
Well, we saw Maxine die too, a horrible death.
Oh my gosh!
Thank you, Violet.
I did not see that coming, but I do think that sets up an opportunity for another character to return to the show.
I do too. I hope it happens.
Yeah,
I hope it happens. Nothing's being said.
Yeah, we got Nan.
Yes.
We got a little flashback with Nan in her 80s shoulder pads and meeting Pam and Eric for the first time and telling them to rein it in.
Yeah.
They're not being very discreet. And, Eric with his 80s hair, his feathered, fluffy hair, and Pam with her beautiful flowing locks. That was some awesome 80s hair there.
Oh, yeah.
In those scenes.
That had to have been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Nan, I miss her snark. I miss her smart mouth.
She's such a good foil for Eric and Pam, for both of them.
She really is.
And how much did you love that Pam was like, maybe we could be friends, and she looks at her shoes and she's like, yeah, what size do you wear?
Yeah. Oh, Pam.
Yeah. And Nan's all, we don't have to be friends.
Yeah, that's a throwback to season 2.
Yeah.
Pam.
Yep.
Yeah, loved it.
Pam and her shoes.
With the pumps.
Yep.
Oh, Pam. You're such a girl.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. And, Eric's smartitude came back to bite him in the end, and
yeah,
that was not pretty. And so somebody asked the question too, and this is an interesting question. The Yakunomo Corp are they behind the Authority, or was the Authority, like the Authority was there all along? They were kind of a religious group, but do you kind of get the feeling that the corporation came in and kind of bumped them up into the spotlight a little more, funded them, made promises, and gave them muscle?
Yeah, I think that we saw in season 5, the Authority has been around for centuries, but I think the Yakunomo Corp is a close ally, and they started developing this synthetic blood drink in conjunction with the Authority as part of a long-term plan for vampires to be able to come out of the coffin. Now, obviously, this is happening in 1986, and we found season 1, 2008, is when vampires have just come out of the coffin. So it takes about 22 years for this to happen. It's it's not a short-term plan; it's a long-term plan. But yes, I think, and again, this is something we could talk about a little more in the spoilers. But there's a character coming up who I think will help us fill in some gaps. Yeah, as far as the Authority and Yakunomo Corp working together.
Yeah, and Sylvie, poor Sylvie, I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but it's in the same flashback. Sylvie was not at all what I expected.
Me neither. I didn't think she would be flashback number 1. I thought she was going to be someone who was caring for Eric in present day. Yeah. So all of you who were throwing a fit about a new love interest for Eric,
actually, that
got
was
you again. We got to talk about that a little bit later too. Is how much HBO is messing with our minds. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Okay. I didn't think that she was going to be in flashback, and I certainly didn't think that. I didn't see that him having to choose between Pam and Sylvie. That was brutal. Yeah. What do you think the point of that was, though?
What the point of why they did it on the show, or the point of why they killed her?
No, I know why they killed her. To teach him a lesson and to get him to fall in line. But as far as Eric's character development, and how that is going to tie into what we're seeing this season. I mean, because it's all tied together. They wouldn't show us something like that if it wasn't part of a larger plot point or character development. So
right.
Were we supposed to be just seeing Eric capable of love again?
I don't know. I think it had more to do with Eric just standing up to, just being a smart aleck, and how you're a 1,000-year-old vampire, but you can't get away with everything.
Right.
So I just wonder if somewhere down the line, because the Yakunomo Corporation is coming back into the picture, and in fact, I think that Eric and Pam are going to seek them out when he said we're going to Dallas.
Yeah.
But I kind of think that maybe he might. I don't know. See, I can't. We could talk about this later in spoilers more, but I really kind of think they might be setting it up for Eric to say, "Don't mess with me ever again."
Yeah,
you did me once. You won't do it again.
They're definitely setting up the history between Pam, Eric, and Yakunomo Corp. I just wondered if there's some other. Well, it was a chance for us to see him choose Pam.
Yeah.
His loyalty to Pam. It was a chance for us to see that and their connection. I'm just wondering if it has broader repercussions, but we'll have to wait and see.
We'll have to wait and see now.
It's all a piece of the puzzle.
I know that somebody speculated that perhaps he may have to make that choice later on down the road, Sookie or Pam.
That's kind of what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
And if so, boy, I honestly don't know who he would choose.
Yeah.
I really don't
know. I don't know.
So
We'll see.
yeah, I think that situation is going to mirror something that happens later in the season. But
yeah,
we'll see.
we could speculate, but we don't really know. But
Right.
it was great to see. It was an emotional thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's. I mean, I don't know. It was an emotional scene. I felt bad for Sylvie. She was an innocent, pretty much.
Caught in the middle. Yeah.
Although, I guess you could say if you're going to involve yourself, you're going to voluntarily involve yourself with a vampire, you're looking for trouble because it just never ends well.
But then we get back into the let's blame Sookie for everything.
No, I can't. You can't do that because it's
but
like
she got
Sookie,
involved with a vampire voluntarily.
She got involved voluntarily, but Sookie had some good reasons.
Yeah.
It's
tricky
she can't hear vampires.
Mm-hmm.
It is tricky. It's very tricky. Sylvie just fell for a hot blonde dude.
Yep. got into a situation not of her choosing, but
yeah.
This is what happens when you get involved with vampires, and I think that is also going to be a lesson that comes up.
Yeah.
Again and again. So
I think so. But
yeah.
Anyway, it was pretty good.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about another thing another couple of scenes that a lot of people have been assuming means one thing and we're pretty sure does not. That's Bill and Sookie's chat when she's offering herself up as vampire bait, when she smells like flowers and she tastes like flowers and sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and that then precipitates that whole scene at the end where everybody comes together into that battle and Alcide gets killed.
Mm-hmm.
Jumping back to that for just a second, I loved that they had Wolf Alcide and Dean Sam working together there. Where they meet in the clearing, they both shift back to their human form, and they realize that they're both trying to find Sookie because they think she's in danger, and they shift back into their wolf and dog form and take off, and that was cool. I didn't realize how much I had wanted to see something like that until we got it.
Yeah.
It's like, of course, the two shifters should be working together.
Sure. That was awesome. I loved it.
That was really cool, and it was a really neat, just kind of final, I guess, homage to Alcide's wolf.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Bill and Sookie in the tree, and first in the car. Mm-hmm. Bill tells Sookie that he cannot feel her anymore. He has no more blood bonds. Because he was drained at Vamp Camp at the end of season 6 before they were rescued, and he offered himself up to all of the vampires so that they could walk in the sun. And they drained him. None of his blood was left. He had to get a transfusion. So he no longer has a blood bond with Sookie, Jessica, nobody. He doesn't have blood bonds. So that's why she needed to take some of his blood so he could feel her. But she asked him, so does that erase all the mistakes of your past? And he says no. He still has to live with those. I mean, that's he has those memories. But it's that mystical blood bond that's gone.
Right.
So no, he doesn't get a clean slate. He still has to make amends. He still regrets things. So that's still a major obstacle between the two of them.
Right. Sookie even brought that up too. What do you get out of jail free card? And and then when he finished explaining, she kind of looked at him with a little smile on her face and said, "Good."
Yeah.
Because he shouldn't forget what he's done.
No. He shouldn't.
No one is expecting that to happen. Mm-mm. So, but there are people that, were all upset and angry because they thought, Bill should have to pay, and
he does still have to pay. So
yeah,
you might want to rewatch that scene if you're still confused about their connection in Bill's memories and all of that. You might rewatch that scene with the two of them in the car.
Right.
But then when, they're out in the woods and he's up in the tree and she's on the ground and they're talking, which was awesome couple of scenes. This is my cat, Marlo. Hello, Marlo. An awesome couple of scenes between Anna Paquin and Stephen Moyer. That a lot of people took to mean that Bill and Sookie are on the path to resuming a romantic relationship. Liz and I completely disagree. To us, what we're seeing is that they're on the path to creating the type of relationship that Bill and Sookie have in the books at the end, where they're friends. He still loves her, and she still loves him because he was her first love, but she doesn't love him in the way that he loves her. In the books, this is how it ends up. And they're just going to be friends. That's all they can ever be from now on. It's just friends. Right. And I think that they are repairing their relationship, but it's only to a certain point. They have been throwing a Bill and Sookie endgame at us for months, even before the season premiere. That's what they're pushing. You guys, that means it's not happening. It means that there's going to be a Bill and Sookie relationship, but it's not the kind that you're thinking. Right. They are not endgame. They're not going to end up together. I'm sorry to the Bill and Sookie fans. You're going to have to be okay with them being friends and being, being there for each other in a different way. They're not going to end up together romantically. No. It's not going to happen.
No. And you could see it when they were talking, as they were talking. There was no, when Sookie looked at Bill, there was the stars were gone. There were no stars in her eyes. That look from season 1, there was none of that. I mean, she was talking about Alcide and how much she loved him, but that she knows that she didn't love him as much as he loved her. She also didn't say, she was confiding in Bill as a friend. That was so obvious to me. That's not something that you would tell, I don't know. It's just not, the way she was talking was not the way you would talk to someone who's, well, maybe we could get back together again. No, It's, and even Bill, he even said, if we're going to continue with this friendship, if we're going to allow this friendship to grow or whatever, I'm paraphrasing, you're going to have to talk to me.
Right. And so she did.
And she did. So she opened up a little bit to him. She'll open up about certain things, some things she won't. And, again, that is taken from the books. There was a point where Bill and Sookie meet face to face in the last book. Things are a little bit awkward. Bill finally says, you know what? Enough. Let's just pull this whole thing out in the open right now. I did some bad things. I was a jerk. I can't take those back. But you did some hurtful things too. Neither one of us can go in the past and correct anything. Can we just agree to move on from here? And it was fine after that. That's when their relationship as friends, that's when it was really born.
And that's what happens here.
That's what happened in that
scene. This episode is they are deciding to let the past be in the past, to build a new relationship that's going to be a friendship, that they're going to be honest and open with each other, and that's what we're going to get. Yeah. I know that we're going to get a lot of disagreement about that from you guys. And we understand you're not seeing it. You have a different experience with the show. Obviously, this is subjective. Watching a television show is subjective. We all have our different experiences with it, but. Come see us again at the end of the season. Let's revisit this at the end of the season. This is what 100% we are in agreement. This is what's happening between Bill and Sookie. Yeah. It's going to be the book relationship for Bill and Sookie. Yeah. Right. And if you look back at everything that HBO has put out there, through, official comments, through Bucky's comments, through Anna Paquin, through Stephen Moyer, through everyone else who has talked about this show. And Bill and Sookie has been their number one talking point. Every single person involved with the show has mentioned Bill and Sookie. That's not an accident, you guys. That is what they want. They wanted us to focus on that, and it worked, so that we wouldn't know. I mean, hardly anyone was talking about that a major character was going to die in the first few minutes of the season premiere. Everybody was focused on Bill and Sookie. Nobody saw the Alcide death coming. Even we, who were 99% sure that season, this is his final episode, did not think they were going to kill him off. We did not see that coming. Even after Sookie told Bill, he loves me more than I can ever love him, and how that was eating at her. Even then, I was thinking, okay, so she is going to have to break up with him, and it's going to be devastating, and he's going to leave. That's what I was getting from that scene. I did not see his death from a mile away. I didn't see, no, even from an inch away, I didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
This is how HBO works. Distract, red herring, distract. But if you look at what's been said, not a single person has referred to Bill and Sookie's relationship as romantic. Everybody is talking about that they will have a relationship, that they will get, that fans will, watch and see, that they are going to repair their relationship, that there's, it's, Bill and Sookie will have, they never say it will be a romantic relationship. They say that there will be a return to Bill and Sookie. There will be a relationship between the two of them. They'll get to a new point in their relationship, all of which is true.
Right.
None of which means that they are getting back together romantically, or that Bill and Sookie will end up together at the end. So just keep that in mind as you're watching, and as you're hearing people talk and reading or listening to comments from interviews, sound bites. These people know how to manipulate and how to distract, and even Rutina Wesley at the premiere was asked point blank on the red carpet, does Tara die? And she said, she thought about it, and she said, I think, it's safe to say Tara's going to be around for a long time.
Yeah.
Not an answer. Not untrue. Not a lie. Didn't answer the question.
All right.
And at that point, we already knew that she was dead. We already knew that she was dying at the beginning. And so I was watching very, very interestedly to see, how she was going to answer questions. And then I think it was on Extra, where their correspondent was asking people point blank if they were the one that was going to die, trying to get anyone to give them a clue. And so when she got to Rutina and asked her point blank, I was watching very carefully and listening very carefully to her answer, and she did not lie, but she didn't answer the question either. So just listen with discernment, and realize that they are not going to tell you what's going to happen. They have a whole plan. There's a whole publicity plan in place, and be distracted by all the Bill and Sookie talk if you want to. Just remember, at the end of the season, we told you.
But, if it's going to distract you to the point of saying, oh, I'm just not going to watch anymore, forget it, I know where this is going. Okay.
Then
I feel sorry for you.
See you next week. Yeah.
I don't. If that's the decision you want to make, whatever.
Yeah,
but
that's up to you. It's a TV show, whatever. It's not that big a deal. But
you'll be buying the DVDs next May.
Yeah, we know. We know you'll be back. But I did want to bring, kind of tie it into that, the whole Bill and Sookie thing. I did want to mention that something that we were talking about in the live chat on Sunday night was how very deceptive the preview for this episode was. People were sure that Eric had contracted Hep V on purpose because of the way that little scene was cut.
Yeah.
Where in the preview, Pam says, did you contract it on purpose? And then it cuts to Eric saying the fight's over, Pam. That's not even the correct sequence. In the episode, they're talking about, Eric says the fight's over, Pam, before she asks the question in the actual scene. And as we know, Eric explained that he did not contract it on purpose, but he wasn't careful as far as who he was feeding from. He didn't make sure that they were clean. His food source was clean. He was reckless, and he was infected about a month ago. In case you guys missed that, that scene was really quiet, so I think a lot of people missed the actual dialogue.
Yeah.
But he tells Pam he's been infected for about a month. He started seeing the symptoms about a month ago, and no, he didn't contract it on purpose, but he wasn't careful either about who he got his blood from. So, and then what was the other? There were two other things that we talked about in the live chat that were in the preview. Oh, Sam being shot.
Yeah.
Obviously didn't happen. He flew away.
He was shot at,
but he had flown away already. Who was being shot in that scene? The bit that we saw where we thought that Sam had been shot, and then they cut to the shocked expressions. Those weren't even the same scene.
No,
because Sam, Sam's vampire got killed first,
right?
And then he was the only one that was still there. When Violet and Jessica and Andy and Jason show up, and we see that reaction shot of shock, that was to Maxine's death. That wasn't anything to do with Sam. So again, they're editing to really trick us. And there was a third thing. What was it? Do you remember what it was? There was a third thing in the preview that had people worked up, and it was not even close to what actually happened.
No, I don't remember what the third thing was.
I don't either.
I know some people thought that Bill was going to be killed because of that scene of him being knocked out of the tree.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all right. A lot of people did think that. I never thought that, but I did see some comments about that.
Yeah, I don't know what the third thing was. There was something else, but I don't remember now.
No. But anyway, just, we can dissect the previews all we want, but they're showing us what they want us to see in the order they want us to see it. So,
for a very good reason.
Yeah.
It's
keeping
working.
Us on our toes.
I mean, come on. We're all talking about it.
Exactly.
You go on the internet, everybody is talking about the show. That's their purpose. That's what they're supposed to do.
Yep.
Get them talking about the show.
It's
sometimes
working.
it pulls in new fans. We've seen that just before this season started. There were people, I heard about this, or my wife or my husband, they're so into it, so I thought I'd check it out, and I'm hooked. We've seen a number of that, in the last month or so before the show started back.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I remember what it was. James trying to wake up Lafayette.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was.
Like, oh my gosh, Lafayette's dead, Lafayette's... No. And even Lafayette was like, what's your problem? I'm fine.
Dude, yeah. Well, that one sucked me in.
Yeah.
I didn't say much because I understand how these things work. And I wanted to see how it played out first, but it was a heart-stopping moment for me. It's like, no.
I thought maybe that was a lead into showing him, in some sort of a trance or something. I didn't think he was dead, but I thought maybe we were going to get some vision. Maybe we would see Tara, he would be seeing Tara or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but no, he was just like, dude, no.
I still think that could happen.
I think so, yeah.
You mean, even though he's, walked away from the whole scene, he doesn't want anything to do with it. He's a natural, and just like I think Jesus did in a last season or season before, it just happens, and he doesn't even see it coming. So
yeah,
Yeah,
I think
poor Lafayette. He doesn't have a choice.
Yeah. I think he'll have a Tara visitation sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. But
gone but not forgotten.
Exactly. So what else do we have? We have Adeline and Wade reconnecting.
Mm-hmm.
Although for him it's just connecting because he got clamored. Remember Eric clamored that out of him.
Yeah.
That memory. And apologized for having to do that to him. But
right. So, it's just kind of a cute little side story because everybody likes Adeline. I know I do. I think she's adorable, and I'd like to see more friend time with Jessica. But Jessica's got a lot going on right now.
She does.
Oh, so let's talk about Jessica. Jessica got shot, but Jessica's not healing.
She's not eating.
She's
not infected.
Eating.
She's not eating. I think she's afraid.
Yeah, I think she's afraid too. I think she's afraid that she might lose control. I think that she's still dealing with the fallout of what she did to Adeline's sisters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think she's scared that, between being afraid that she might get some infected blood and being afraid that she'll lose control again. She's not eating, and that's I'm pretty sure that comes into play in this next episode.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that later because I have a little wish.
Okay.
So
yeah,
but so Jessica is not infected. She's just starving.
Mm-hmm.
As is Pam. Pam is starving too. Hopefully
we did get Pam acknowledging Tara's death in this episode.
Yes. That was a big deal.
It was a big deal. And we talked about, did we talk in the last podcast about Angela Robinson's article? Or did that come out after? I think that came out after our podcast.
After, yeah.
Okay.
After.
Angela Robinson, who wrote the episode, there was an interview with her. We have it on our site where she talks about the season premiere and why it seemed like Pam didn't acknowledge her progeny's death. There's a scene that was cut that she said once it was put in there, it just looked weird. So I hope they put it on the DVD so we can all see it. Mm-hmm. But she said there was a scene in the season premiere where Pam is in the bathroom crying because Tara's gone. Mm-hmm. Because she felt it, and she's in Morocco. And then she goes out and does the Russian roulette thing, the bucket game, as Eric calls it. And that's when she says, everyone I love leaves, everything I touch dies. Mm-hmm. So that was, as I said, that was in reference to Tara. But it was very subtle, and without the other scene, a lot of people missed it. Mm-hmm. But that is what she was talking about there, was Tara's death. Everything I touch dies. Everyone I love leaves was Eric. So that was what that was.
Right.
And I think some people have said that was really out of character for her. Again, I disagree because Pam is very stoic. That's true. She's unemotional. And without that scene of her crying in the bathroom, it did feel it was very subtle, and it felt a little strange, and like there wasn't a lot of impact. But what do I want to say here? She's lost her progeny. She has been searching for her maker for 6 months. Who knows when the last time was she ate? I think Pam deserves a little bit of emo time. Mm-hmm. I didn't find it out of character for her to be a little depressed right then.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Feeling a little hopeless, even as she was talking with Eric, and Eric just basically told her to go.
Yeah.
He
had released her already, so she doesn't have to stay. Yeah.
Then watch him die.
Yeah, he wants her to go. So that was not Eric releasing Pam. He had already released Pam. Mm-hmm. It was just him saying, "You can go."
Right.
So.
Yeah. So there was a lot of Pam Eric in this episode. A lot of fans were happy. I was happy.
Yeah.
Even though it was all sad. This is a dark season. I mean, it's
is.
sad all the way around. Not just is it the final season, but we're losing some favorite characters and having to deal with the emotions of the ones that are still there. And it's hard. I didn't think it was going to be an easy season, though. A happy hearts and flowers, season.
You're watching the wrong show if you think that's going to happen.
Right. So, we'll see how it all plays out. But so far, it's dark. They said it was going. They prepared us for that. Mm-hmm. They did say it was going to be a dark season. Mm-hmm. So,
and they were
what else do we have? I liked Bill's flashback to his family, and especially the fact that the photographer was a Fortenberry.
That was a neat little tie-in.
Yeah, it was very small and very subtle, but it was there. And, Bill dealing with his family and his daughter, his little girl, was cute as a bug.
Mm-hmm.
She was so cute. Asking, well, why do you have to go? Or, you promise you'll return. And what a hard thing. What a hard thing to try, when your kid asks you to make a promise that you really just can't keep. Mm-hmm. Now you become a promise breaker.
Right.
And it's hard. Mm-hmm. But I liked the picture.
Yeah, it was a good picture, and I'm wondering how this fits into the broader scope of things. Bill remembering his family and going off to war, and where are we heading with these flashbacks? Because there has to be a reason that we're seeing them.
Yeah.
So, besides just, hey, that's cool, let's do it. That's not what they do in the writers' room. So,
if they're bringing everything around again, I think I have a feeling I know.
Okay.
But we could talk about it in spoilers.
Okay. We also had the Willa, Letty Mae, Reverend Daniels stuff going on, and it was an interesting conversation between the good Reverend and Willa. Him telling her about how he came to meet Letty Mae, mm-hmm. and that she saved him as much as he saved her. Mm-hmm. That was interesting.
A little bit of insight into Letty Mae, a side of Letty Mae that no one has seen or no one knows about, which is it's pretty good.
Yeah. I still feel like I would rather have Tara than Letty Mae, but
yeah, I know.
What's done is done, and they didn't ask me, so.
And she's a little crazy right now, Letty Mae. She's, and think about it. I was thinking about this as, I was reading some of the comments on Facebook, and, people referring to crazy Letty Mae. Yeah, she's crazy right now. I agree. She's a little off the nut right now. But when you think about it, 36 hours before, she had just watched her daughter explode in front of her. Just after a form of reconciliation was started. Here, an opportunity for Letty Mae. She knows the horrible mother that she's been to Tara. She's repentant. She turned over a new leaf. She wants to start again. She really wants to try and, get her daughter back. Mm-hmm. And when it looks like she's going to, she's gone. That would drive anybody over the edge. And Letty Mae, she's a highly emotional individual anyway. Mm-hmm. So I think I have to give her a little craziness. I as a parent, I don't think I'd be sane after something like that. It's like, it's the worst thing. It's like having the rug pulled out from under you when you don't even know you're standing on a rug. Mm-hmm. So, ease up a little on Letty Mae. let her have her crazy for a minute. She's aching for her daughter. Mm-hmm. She wants her back, and she's gonna do anything to try and see her one last time. She hasn't made peace.
Right. Well said. I agree. All right. So I think that kind of wraps up everything that happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It was a episode that it delved a lot into feelings and emotions.
And family.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
We've seen a lot of family themes this season so far.
You know what? I got to tell you, getting back to the Reverend and Willa, I really like Willa. I really love her character, and I hope they do a little bit more with her in this last season. But I really thought it was sweet the way the Reverend rescinded his invitation. He didn't really want to. He didn't want to kick her out, you know.
Right.
But
he had to do what was best for Letty Mae.
Exactly, and I get that. But I just thought it was, I don't know, I kind of liked him a little better for the way he handled it.
Me too. I mean, he knew that he needed to do it, but he didn't need to do it in a way that would hurt Willa. He told her that story to explain, you know, this is, and so I know that Letty Mae is an addict. Right. And you are now, you know, a giant bottle of Jack Daniels. And so you can't stay. You're going to have to go somewhere else.
Right.
So it was just, it was a really gentle way of saying, I'm sorry, you just can't stay here anymore. Right. For the good of my wife, you have to go.
And she was receptive.
Exactly. She knew exactly where he was coming from. So that was really a lovely scene. Between two characters that we barely know. Yeah. So that
gave us a chance to spend a little time with them.
Yeah.
And again, I like Willa. I have always liked her. When they introduced her last season, I loved her. So
I'm so glad that she's a regular for this season.
I am too.
Learn a little more about her.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Well, before we go into spoilers, we just have a quick word from our sponsor, Audible. If you love to read but can't find the time in your busy schedule, you could try audiobooks from Audible. They've got thousands of titles to choose from, including all 13 Sookie Stackhouse novels and the short stories, so you'll never run out of books to listen to. Visit True-Blood.net/audible for a free 30-day trial and a free audiobook of your choice. That's True-Blood.net/audible.
All right, now we're going to get into spoilers. So if you like to remain spoiler-free, the 5 of you, you could, as our survey showed, you could shut us off, and we'll see you next week. And thanks for joining us. And for those of you who like to stay for the spoilers and like to listen to us ramble on about what we think is going to happen, here you go.
All right, so we have the full synopsis for the next episode, which is titled "Death is Not the End." Boy, I don't know who's that referring to at this point.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah.
I don't even want to guess.
In the aftermath of yet another bloodbath, Sam, Sookie, and Jason find themselves the bearers of bad news in Bon Tom and beyond. Pam recalls the events that led her and Eric to Shreveport and Fantasia, so we get another flashback. Bill and Jessica get nourishment from unexpected sources. Following a new lead, Sookie enlists a band of vampires and humans to track down the H-Vamps. And this was written by Daniel Kenneth and directed by Greg Feinberg. We have the preview clip available for viewing on our site, so be sure to check that out. But again, remember, not everything is as it seems. So first of all, Sam, Sookie, and Jason find themselves the bearers of bad news in Bon Tom and beyond. So they're going to have to deliver the news of Alcide's. We've got Alcide's death. So Sookie probably has to tell his dad, I would imagine. Jason, I think, is going to be the one that has to tell Hoyt that his mom is dead. And so Sam is maybe telling Rosie that Kevin's dead.
Maybe.
I'm trying to think who he would be talking about.
Yeah.
But
or that the vampires, the infected vampires, are still on the loose.
Maybe he has to. Well, who would he tell? Isn't everybody now a vigilante or captured in the dungeon? I don't know. We'll see who Pam has to tell.
Yeah,
or who Sam has to tell. Pam gets a flashback, and I don't know if we're seeing a flashback or modern day. I think it's modern day. There's a little tiny snippet in the preview of Eric and Pam at Bill's front door. So, I think. I'm pretty sure. We see the back of a head, and I'm pretty sure it's him. Or it could be Dallas.
Yeah.
They could be in Dallas meeting Mr. Gus.
Mr. Gus.
Who we found out about several months ago. He's being referred to as a big bad, but I'm wondering if that's actually true.
Mm-hmm. Well, big bad,
for Sarah
depending
Newlin.
on who you're talking, depending on who you're talking to. If Pam and Eric ally themselves with him, you know, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Mm-hmm. They're all going to go after Sarah, and you know, another showdown. High noon.
Probably high midnight, I would guess.
Right.
These are vampires we're talking about. But we're thinking that Mr. Gus is related to the woman that Sarah Newlin killed.
Yeah.
And that's where the revenge from the Yakinoma Corp comes in. Mm-hmm. Is that she killed Mr. Gus's great-granddaughter, niece, I don't know.
What if he's a vampire?
He is a vampire.
He is a vampire. Oh, duh. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we haven't been told that, but we can pretty much ascertain that from the character description. So, which also leads to the Authority Yakinoma connection. So, if Mr. Gus is the head of the Yakinoma Corp, and he's a vampire, boom, there's your connection.
Right.
He wanted to find a way for vampires to come out of the coffin. He's rich. He funds, the development of the synthetic blood, and gets, works with the Authority to orchestrate the big coming out of the coffin thing.
Right. With Nan being the spokesperson.
With Nan as the spokesperson until Eric and Bill kill her.
Mm-hmm.
So
maybe we'll see how that all came about.
I hope we get to see more of her. I really do.
Yeah.
I miss Nan, but
yeah,
I'm about 90% sure that we'll see Hoyt. Don't you think?
I think so. They really opened the door wide for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there some hints that have been dropped in some of these episode synopses are just kind of make me think that probably.
Yeah. Plus, Jim Herrick was back in LA for a couple of weeks for vacation.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sure.
We'll see. Now, what about this Bill and Jessica get nourishment from unexpected sources? We were talking about how she's not eating. And, we're going to see, there's a scene that was it's been in several previews, and they've used the voiceover, where she is talking about vampires aren't free because we have to feed off of innocent humans. Mm-hmm. And it's a very depressed and emo moment for Jessica. She's feeling it. She is really still hurting, really feeling guilty and upset about what happened with Adeline's sisters and her loss of control. So, and she looks pretty rough in that scene. But as we see from the synopsis, she does end up getting fed. Mm-hmm. So, where do you think it's coming from?
I don't know. The way it's written is, Bill and Jessica get nourishment, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are together. But I think what my wish is, and my hope, is that they are. Just because this is, again, something that I've loved, the father-daughter, relationship between those two.
Yeah.
That I love it when they show it, and that's why I hope that they are together when they do this, and I hope, because just like Bill with with Sookie, I'll always remember the horrible things that I've done. I can't change it. He's going to have to relay that message to her. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping that there will be a moment, a Bill and Jessica moment where he actually has, says that to her and helps her through this.
Mm-hmm.
You can't change what you did. You
Right.
can only change what you'll become.
Yeah. And what you do next.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm hoping. That's my wish.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll happen, but we'll see.
We'll see. I hope so. And who feeds them? I don't know. What if it's Hoyt?
Well, that kind of would be my guess. I don't know. It would be interesting to see how Hoyt comes back, because remember, he was glamored into forgetting about all of that. Forgetting about a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It depends really on what he's like when he comes back.
Mm-hmm.
Has he been following family activities in Bontown? I don't know.
Does he have?
He doesn't have any friends there anymore that he remembers.
Exactly. So we'll wait and see.
Yeah. Maybe Summer will have told him.
I
Miss
doubt
Muffins.
it. I mean, Summer's over on Big Bang Theory dealing with Howie now, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just had to throw that in there. I know.
Every time I see Bernadette, I'm like, that's right. You dated Hoyt for a hot minute.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, doing it very well too.
Yeah.
So that's it. Was there any other speculations that we wanted to throw out there? That we wanted to talk about later in spoilers?
I think that was kind of it for me, I think.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well then, that's going to be our show for this week. Don't forget to bookmark True-Blood.net and keep yourselves up to date on all the news. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at True-Blood.net and find us on Facebook as well. Convenient links are posted in the sidebar on our main page. And don't forget to join us on Twitter on Sunday nights as you're watching and in the chat room. We have tons of fun. And Minda is whipping the fans up out there, let me just tell you.
Yeah, she's handling our Twitter account on Sunday nights, and she is killing it.
She totally is. So give her a follow, and she'll put up her handle on there. And we'll see you guys next week.
We also want to thank Minda for not just handling Twitter, but also editing our podcast for us. You can watch us on, not on iTunes yet, but I'm getting there, I promise. Now that the nephew's okay and things are starting to settle down, I'm going to figure out what is going on. So keep watching for us on iTunes. You can also follow us on Stitcher at stitcher.com/trueblood. And as I said, we're posting the podcast on YouTube. And our videos can be found there at youtube.com/trueblood.net, all spelled out. We've got not just the podcast, but we also have videos from Comic-Con and other events that we've been to. So you can check out all of our videos there at youtube.com/trueblood.net, all spelled out. And yeah, if you have any questions, comments, wardrobe questions, send them to webmaster@true-blood.net, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Trubies.